Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for July 27th, 2026. Thank you for joining me here on the show tonight. We're going to talk about the Padres, obviously. We're actually going to dive into the schedule a little bit because I was looking at it over the weekend and really, I was trying to figure out whether or not they were able to easily run through the rest of their schedule. Not easily run through, that's the wrong way of putting it, but I was just looking at their schedule to see who they're playing, who they can catch up to in the wild card, who they have tiebreakers over, and things like that. So we're going to go through the schedule in just probably the next segment. Everybody knows, and I've said this before, that I love reading comment sections on sports. Basically, now I'm reading comments on every single article. I love to see what the people are saying, crazy or not. And I came across one fan of the Mets who had a really, really, really funny response to what is going on with the Mets today. So I will bring that to you at the end. And then also we have our daily gripe at the end. Before we get into what we're doing today, before the guys left the studio, they saw it. One of my other favorite things that doesn't really make any difference in the world is watching a grounds crew or some sports crew trying to corral a wild animal. And there was a wild animal on the field between the Tigers and the Royals in Detroit, and it was just running along the warning track near the outfield wall, and it was actually a black squirrel. I've never seen this before, but I looked it up. There's something called a black squirrel. Apparently, it's more common than I thought. Had no idea that there was they're showing it on TV again. Oh no! Then the guy tried to pick it up with his glove, and he threw the squirrel in the air. Anyway, you're going to see this online. This is a scene. There's about 15 grounds crew workers chasing the squirrel, and now they're trying to pick it up with their bare hands, which I don't think is the best thing for a squirrel. But they ended up actually, I'll tell you how it ended. They're taking these towels, and they put a towel over the squirrel. Then the squirrel gets out from the towel. He keeps running. Then they put another towel over him, and then they scoop the squirrel up. And they're able to get the squirrel off the field. But 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. There's at least 20 people on the field for a squirrel, which I think is hilarious. This is like one of my favorite things I've seen in a long time. This squirrel had these people going. And the player in right field, whoever the player is, he tries to pick up the squirrel with his glove, but then the squirrel jumps and he throws the squirrel in the air on accident. I know I sound really excited about this, but wait until you see this footage. It is hilarious. It is absolutely hilarious. Okay, now that I'm past the squirrel, we'll get into what we're talking about today. And that would be the Padres, obviously. And when they swept the Marlins, this is basically what I thought about when they swept the Marlins.
You know, Lloyd, just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this. And totally redeem yourself!
I don't know why my mind works like that, but as soon as they won that game against the Marlins yesterday, they sweep the Marlins, I'm like, all right, I'm back in. Back in. Obviously, I was never fully out. I did get a DM over the weekend. Hey, you better not be happy that they swept the Marlins. I mean, listen. I want this team to win. But last week, we were commenting on what we saw, which was bad baseball. They lost 3 of 4 to the Braves. Things looked really bad. Coming off the weekend, losing a series to the Royals. Now, do I think that they're completely fixed and this is all going to go forward just fine? No, definitely not. I still want to see what they do this week. But if they can get that offense that they had over the weekend, if they can get some of their guys hitting again, like we've been talking about all year, this is a different team. And I read AJ Castavel's newsletter I think it was this morning, but he was kind of breaking down the different trade scenarios. And as Chris mentioned earlier, their playoff odds have doubled since they swept the Marlins, from like 7% to 14% or something like that. But what is different about this team is that when you have Manny Machado, when you have Jackson Merrill hitting, when you have other guys in your lineup hitting, Like, it just makes everything so much easier. And so AJ Castle is kind of talking about how if they went into this week and we're looking for indications as to whether or not the Padres are going to be buyers or sellers, the last week or last road trip we said would be very important, which honestly they ended up at 5-5 on the road trip, which is insane because that's exactly what they've been doing all year, which is be 500, and they're 500 right now. So they end the road trip 5-5. But what looks a lot different is how their team was able to actually score runs this time around. So it's a little bit of a different situation. And if they can go through this week and guys are still hitting, then I think that opens it up a little bit more for AJ Preller. All we have been talking about, all I've been saying this year about the guys who aren't hitting, basically, if Manny starts hitting, it's going to be really good for the team because he's going to hit a bunch. And if Jackson starts hitting, he's going to hit a bunch. So Jackson's hitting now. Manny's hitting now. Things are looking a lot better offensively in the last, not even in the last 10 games, but in the last maybe month or so. This is from Kevin Acey, from June 8th through yesterday, July 26th. That's 42 games. They had the 11th best average in baseball, the 5th best on-base percentage, the 11th best slugging, 10th best OPS, and 11th best runs per game. So when you're looking at that sort of offense, that's a 42-game offense right now. That's a 42-game offense. That is not a small sample size. And considering what we saw before that, from April 28th through June 9th, they were last in every single category. So I was talking to someone over the weekend, and they've been hearing us talk about how they've been last in all the categories. And then we were talking, and I said, well, their offense has been really, really good lately. And they said, well, they're last in all the categories. I personally only look at like small stretches during a baseball season just so I could see what they're doing as of late, because there's so many ups and downs to a season. But when you look at them from April 28th through June 7th, they were dead last in the league in every hitting category. Average, on base percentage, slugging, OPS, runs per game. Last. But now they put themselves in nearly a top 10 position. And I did say this last week, and I still kind of sort of believe it, but I said that if they sweep the Marlins, then it's kind of going to be fool's gold, and they're going to go into the trade deadline, and they're going to buy, and this team's not going to make it far in the playoffs, blah, 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 blah. That's if the offense doesn't perform. And the offense is performing now. Now their problem is pitching. They cannot figure out. I will say it's pretty awesome they've been so creative with the pitching, but they cannot figure out their starting rotation because they don't really have one right now. We have the news that Joe Musgrove and Nick Pivetta are working their way back by the end of August. So I'm not sure. That seems a little too far away for me right now to wait all the way until nearly September to get some guys back. But if the offense is scoring and you get some pitching, and you're supposed to get Jeremiah Estrada back this week to help out that bullpen, things might go in their favor the rest of the year. Now, in the next segment, when we get into the schedule, we'll talk about those sorts of we'll talk about that situation and what they want to happen, what they don't want to happen, things like that. But before I get into Jackson and what Jackson and Manny have been doing lately, Chris says, trying to prolong my commute to catch all the Chronicles. Wow, Chris, that is high praise. Thank you very much for prolonging your commute to listen to the Chronicles. That is a major thing that you're doing. So thank you very much, Chris. Jackson Merrill. In the last 7 games, he's hitting .375. His OPS is well over 1.000. He's hit 3 home runs, 4 RBIs, 9 for 24. Last 15 games, he's .305. His OPS is like 937, something like that. 5 home runs, 11 RBIs. You also have his last 30 games, which is a lot better than the beginning of the season, but he's hitting .265 in the last 30 games. So what you're seeing is Jackson Merrill is getting better as the season goes along. So in the past 30 games, .265. Then you get a little bit better in the past 15 games, and then you get better in the past 7 games. Now, Manny Machado on the other side, last 7 games, he's hitting .344 with 4 homers, 7 RBIs. He has an OPS of well over 1.1. Last 15 games, he's hitting .317 with an OPS of 973. 5 home runs, 12 RBIs. In the last 30 games, .288 with an OPS. I'm doing all these OPSs in my head because for some reason MLB.com doesn't add those numbers together for me. But it's over 1. So Manny Machado, if we look back, 30 games, hitting .288, 10 home runs. And then he gets better in the last 15 games. .317 with 5 home runs. Then in the last 7 games, .344 with 4 home runs. So what I'm trying to convey here is that this is not just the offense getting better in the last 3 games. And I can hear people say, well, it was the Marlins that they swept. You're right. It was the Marlins. They've lost 12 straight. They're actually probably on their way to 13th straight. They had a lead over the Phillies earlier today. It was up, I think they were up 5-0. They got Zach Wheeler out of the game after 2 1/3, and then they just ended up giving up a bunch of runs. I haven't seen the score as of late, but they're going to be looking to go and lose their 13th game in a row. And I also saw that their AAA team, I think they're called the Jumbo Shrimp, as of yesterday, also lost 12 straight games. So things are not going well for the Marlins organization in losing streaks. But bottom line is, if this offense can perform like we've seen it perform, if we get the offense from the series against the Marlins going forward, I feel really good about what they're going to be doing. But there's also the big elephant in the room and in the back of my head of, is it just a little too late? And it might be a little too late. I mean, they have 60-something games left, maybe even less, maybe 50. No, they definitely have less than 60 games because they've played 106. So if I'm doing the math correctly, it's like 56 games left. Is that enough? Or is 56 games enough for them to be able to catch a wild card spot, continue to win, and keep a wild card spot? I'm not sure, but if the offense could do that, then the offense being better opens up this team to a lot more success. I mean, it's just, there's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. If they continue to do what they're doing, then we're going to see some good, we're going to see a win streak at some point, I would think. They have to. Oh, Kathy says Marlins are losing 7-5. So they're on their way to a 13th straight loss, which would be tough to handle. I also think this Padres team likes to torture all of us. And I kind of figured like they were going to be like this, just keep everyone right there and cheering for them and supporting them and believing them. And I'm just hoping on the other side it means a playoff berth. That would be awesome. All right. If you want to watch the show, you can. You can go to Facebook, 97.3 The Fan, YouTube, 97.3 The Fan, Skraby Show, at The Skraby Show, TheSkrab, as in boy, YSHOW, and also Twitter, at 97.3 The Fan SD, at Matt Skraby, and the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Make sure you download that. Look into, you could favorite 97.3 The Fan and never miss a moment. All right, when we get back, we are going to go over their schedule, and we're going to see where they stand in tiebreakers. We're going to see who they're still playing, who they need to lose, who they need to win, all of that when we get back here on The Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan.
Keep cool out there, folks.
Skraby back with you here on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. All guests appear on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. And we are in the Bell House Studios where we know how. The happy hour was actually very happy today. We had some great conversations. We had some good laughs. We heard from Drew Goodman. So if you don't know, the happy hour is what we call our final hour of the show from 5 to 6 p.m. And happy hour is brought to you by GL Pools, the company trusted by thousands of San Diegans to keep their pools sparkling, swim ready, and expertly maintained. Call GL Pools now and say radio for a free month of service. All right. We have, we're going to go through the schedule. Actually, I'm sorry. Mentioned radio for 20% off new service plans in 2026. I knew that was wrong what I said. Let me just read it all over again. The happy hour is brought to you by GL Pools, the swimming pool experts trusted by thousands of San Diegans since 2006. The baseball season is in full swing, and so is swim season. Make sure your pool is ready. Call now and mention radio for 20% off new service plans in 2026. All right. We are going to get into the schedule here because honestly, even if the Padres win a bunch of games and get to 90 wins, I'm not sure that that's going to be enough alone. And the reason is because of the way that their tiebreakers are working out and because they were so poor against some of these teams this year, they are on the wrong side of the tiebreaker. So that definitely adds a little bit more. So when you say that they're 2 games back, they're probably in theory, more than 2 games back because they have to go through a couple teams that they have to finish ahead of those guys. And if they finish tied, then they're going to lose out. So the top 2 wildcard spots right now in the National League, the Cubs and the Phillies. And the Cubs won the season series over the Padres, and the Phillies won every game against the Padres. So when you're looking at the wild card, unless they win the division, which I'm not even going to entertain at this point, the Padres are looking for 1 wild card spot. Right now, that spot is held by the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are playing the Pirates right now. And so this is why this is important. For the next 3 days, the Pirates and the Diamondbacks are going to be playing. Diamondbacks hold the last spot in the wild card. The Pirates are tied with the Nationals for the next team in. They're only a game back, both of those teams. So the Diamondbacks and the Pirates can beat up on each other, and that will help some of the other teams out. But here is some of the rest of the breakdown. Let's just start with the bad news. I've already said it. San Diego has lost the season series to a couple great teams. They've lost the 3 series, tiebreaker series against the Cubs, Phillies, and Cardinals. So they do not hold that tiebreaker. Again, if they finish with the exact same record as those teams, they will not be in. They do not do game 163 anymore. One team that we can all watch for and hope that they don't get on another hot streak would be the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals right now are 1.5 games back of the final wild card spot. Padres obviously lost the season series to them. So if the Padres tie with the Cardinals, then they're going to be on the wrong side of the playoffs. So that's the one team that you really, really, really don't want to go on a major hot streak because that team means you're basically going to be, if you're a game behind the Cardinals, you're almost 2 games behind. You have to beat them by 2 games. Or you have to beat them by a game. I know, we're getting into math. Anyway, bottom line is they have to make sure the Cardinals don't get hot, or make sure they have nothing to do with that. They have to hope the Cardinals don't get hot. Now, here are some of the other things. Let's see, the Pirates and the Nationals don't play again. And the Pirates and the Nationals are tied right now, so they can't take each other down. The Cardinals and Diamondbacks do not play again. So those are 4. That's a matchup that will not help the Padres at all. Now, the good news, they do hold the tiebreaker over the Pirates and the Nationals at the moment. And so that's something we could look forward to. The Padres also play the Diamondbacks 7 more times, including the first 4 games after the trade deadline. So they're going to play, they have 7 games against the Diamondbacks, which is more than enough to make some or do some damage in the wild card race. They have 3 games remaining against the Pirates, 3 against the Nationals, all at home. So there's 6 games right there. And the Cardinals and the Pirates meet 7 more times. The Cardinals also meet the Nationals for 3 games in September. So there are a lot of teams ahead of the Padres right now that are going to be playing each other as we go through the rest of the season. And we are looking at hopefully gaining the edge over the Diamondbacks because, again, they're the last wild card team right now. Now, the Diamondbacks are a team that I didn't really give much staying power to as they started the year. They've kind of been up and down, but the Diamondbacks seem like a team that always end up coming to play. They always end up at least making things hard on all of the other teams. I mean, they went to the World Series a few years ago with an 84 win record. So that just shows you kind of what the Diamondbacks are all about. I need the Padres to at least win 4. I'm not even going to say 5 of those 7 games against the Diamondbacks. You need to win 5. You cannot allow the Diamondbacks to finish ahead of you. You cannot allow them to get the wild card spot. Do I think the Nationals have staying power? I didn't think so, but they're still winning. They're still putting in the effort, obviously. They're 54 and 52, and they have 2 of the best hitters in baseball, James Wood and C.J. Abrams. I know it hurts to bring it up here. So the Nationals scare me a little bit just because of the firepower that they have and maybe the right place, right time type of thing. But they could also go the other way. Maybe they can't handle the pressure down the stretch, something like that. Cardinals, I thought were they were a surprise team coming out of the start of the season, but I've seen them go in several different directions this year. They've been really, really good, and they've been not so good. And the not so good team, I thought, was the temporary team, and it's not like they're a bad team, but they have lost 7 of their last 10 games. So they're on some sort of losing skid as well. The Cardinals, they're interesting because they're a young team. They were never expected to be in the playoffs this year. A lot of people are surprised they're even in this position. So if there is a team that could fall off, it could be that team because they don't necessarily have all of the pieces. But who knows? They go make a trade. They find themselves in a spot that they didn't think about before. They find themselves in a spot where they can make the playoffs. They're going to have to, do something there. So maybe they go all in. Who knows? But the Cardinals do. The Cardinals only scare me because they hold the tiebreaker over the Padres. So there you go. The 3 teams. Well, I guess 4. 4 teams in front of the Padres. There is still a lot of unfinished business to do against them. Again, the Diamondbacks, 7 games against them, 3 against the Pirates, 3 against the Nationals. The only team you're not playing that's ahead of you right now for the rest of the year would be the Cardinals. And I'm not even going to mention the Cubs and the Phillies because the series are already over and the Padres have lost that. So, again, I'm just looking at the final wild card spot, which would be the Diamondbacks. Now, on the other side, the National League East, say the Braves end up losing the top spot in the National League East. We don't want that either. Because the Braves won, I guess it would be what they swept the Braves in San Diego. So there's 3 wins right there. They only won 4 wins. You know what? I did the math wrong. We want the Braves to fall out of the top spot because they hold the tiebreaker. That was really, again, another math moment for me. The Braves we want to fall out of the top spot. Phillies can take that National League East spot at the top, the division leader. And the Padres don't have to worry about them whatsoever because they don't have to deal with a division leader in the wild card race. Man, that was kind of embarrassing that I did the math wrong before the show. And I should have known that. Braves are really good, but Padres hold that season series. If you missed Chris versus the Fans earlier, I really I really think you'll see what type of day I'm having. I did this whole thing where I've been trying to make this computer, this like website thing, so I can ask Chris First the fans questions and have AI help me, and it just was a disaster. And I haven't recovered ever since. Haven't recovered ever since. All right, I think that's it for the wild card standings. I hope I didn't confuse you any further, which honestly is it's a possibility. It's definitely a possibility. So let's just hope the Padres keep winning. Let's just hope the Padres keep taking care of business for themselves. All right. This is Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. I also do have a Twitter at the Skraby Show. I need to start using it a little bit more. But really, the best place to find me is on YouTube at the Skraby Show. You can subscribe, like, all of that. Rod says 1 game at a time. You're right, Rod. It is 1 game at a time. And that is not just a cliche in this scenario. That is absolutely true. You can only handle what you have that day. All right. When we get back, we're going to go over this Mets comment that I found on an Athletic article. Also, World Cup and FIFA, Gianni Infantino is mad at everyone. We'll talk about that a little bit. Plus the Daily Gripe on the other side, 97.3 The Fan.
The biggest guest. It's your birthday, and you know we don't give a fuck. It's not your birthday.
Oh my goodness. I forgot for a second that that was the edited version, and I almost dumped what he was saying. That's 50 Cent, if everyone doesn't know. I'm Matt Skraby. This is the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. The Marlins are really, really, really trying to end this 12-game losing streak. They ended up getting... it's the bottom of the ninth, and Johan Duran is actually and they just walked it off. They just ended their streak. So Johan Duran is a closer for the Phillies, obviously very, very, very good. Jacob Marcy singled, Otto Lopez singled, and then and Jacob Marcy went to third. Otto Lopez stole second. Then Kyle Stowers got hit by a pitch, so bases loaded, no outs, and Heriberto Hernandez singled on a ground ball. They tie it up in the bottom of the ninth with no outs. Then, so it's 7-7. Xavier Edwards singles. Esteury Ruiz goes to third. Hernandez to second. Let me just go to the end. Griffin Conine singles on a line drive to end the game. So the Marlins' 12-game losing streak is now over. Thankfully. That did not happen against the Padres. I don't think Eric actually heard that word. Let's see. Hello, Skraby. If the Padres' only goal by making a move to by the trade deadline is in hopes of grabbing one of the last two playoff spots, don't do it. Just stay pat. I kind of understand, because I did say that last week. It's kind of like fool's gold a little bit if this team gets hot and then they go buy some players at the trade deadline and then they get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. I do think that if you're in a position as a team to make the playoffs, you have to go for it. I don't necessarily think that you have to trade away all of your great players for that. So that doesn't mean that they're going to sell everyone and completely retool this team. I think that if you're close enough for a playoff spot, like right now, obviously the trade deadline's a week away. So we have a week to figure out which direction they're going. They lose all 6 games this week. This is a different conversation than we're having next Monday versus today. But I cannot see them just doing nothing at the trade deadline. At this point, I honestly don't really feel like there's a big trade coming. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Everybody's saying they actually heard the swear word, but that's not true because I didn't hear the swear word. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Hope not. Hope not. But I see DJ Royal. I see what you're saying there. You don't want this team to go through a lot of changes just to satisfy this year. You want to also look ahead towards the future, which I completely understand. And don't disagree to a certain extent. I really don't. I think that I think that AJ Preller is really smart in the way of knowing what he has in the farm system, knowing what they need for the future. He has some sort of understanding with the new owners. So we'll see. But I don't expect like a Juan Soto type trade to happen for the Padres. Eric says, sign Ty as our everyday first baseman. I wouldn't mind that. Ty France has been awesome. He has been really, really, really good for the Padres as of late. Those are the guys that you need to supplement your superstars. See, when Manny is hitting, Jackson's hitting, Fernando's hitting, it makes things much, much easier on the rest of the lineup, and then you're able to do more damage. When the guys at the top of the order are actually scary and a pitcher's not salivating looking at the top four hitters in the order because they know they can get them out. So now you have an order that is a little bit more of, all right, these guys are hitting now. I do not want to miss a pitch or throw a mistake because that mistake will be hit. As you know, before the mistakes weren't hit. The mistakes, weren't hit. Okay, so this Gianni Infantino type of thing. It's I thought the World Cup obviously was awesome. I watched a lot of the games. I just enjoy the world competition type of stuff, like World Cups, Olympics, Ryder Cups, things like that, even though Ryder Cup's not really a world competition. You get what I'm saying. So I was a little bit nervous. I was a little bit nervous before we came into this thing, because I really didn't even know what was going to happen. Just all of the different factors out there, but ended up going well, smoothly. There's no real big issues. I mean, there were some issues, but not anything that we're going to talk about for years and years and years outside of the Flo Balogun thing. But Gianni Infantino, the FIFA president, is angry at everyone for how poorly they talked about the World Cup. And, you know, I think this is such a weird time to say all this. So he posted an essay on his Instagram and he wrote, quote, "To all of you who missed watching kids, babies, grandparents, and parents come together for the beautiful game, I say sorry that the matches are now over, and sorry that you missed all that joy and togetherness. Sorry that you were so consumed by hate and criticism that you missed it all. To those behind their pens and papers, behind their screens spreading hate and false rumors, I want to say that while you are sitting behind, we at FIFA are on the front lines organizing, working hard, and delivering the best show in the world." Now, as a guy who watched this, this World Cup and was like into the World Cup, and as a guy who doesn't normally pay attention to international soccer, and now I'm even considering watching the Premier League and trying to build up my soccer knowledge, this is not the way to go about it. And now the guy who leads FIFA, he's angry because people think FIFA's corrupt and people had problems with the Flo Balogun decision. People had problems with other things. Like, this is not the way. By saying, sorry that you were so consumed by hate and criticism that you missed it all, you are actually furthering the hate and the criticism. You just need to grin and bear it. You don't need to say any of this. It was a successful event. You could just go forward and talk to the people in your inner circle, go to your therapist, something. But to say that you were consumed by hate and criticism, you missed it, this is the wrong move. Very, very wrong move. And I understand that FIFA makes a lot of wrong moves. And if Gianni Infantino wants to raise the profile of the FIFA organization, maybe he shouldn't attack people after they just watched his sport. Like, this was success. This was a success. And I just don't understand why you have to go and bring out the negativity. I know that I can sometimes bring out negativity, but I also know when I am supposed to bury that negativity because no one wants to hear it. And I think that's one of these situations where he just shouldn't have said it. He didn't need to say it. He could have said, thanks everyone for making the World Cup great. Enjoyed seeing babies and grandmas and parents and everybody having fun. We are always looking to get better in everything that we do. And see you next time. DJ Royal says it right. FIFA's corruption has been well documented for decades. This is not anything new. And without going into politics too much, I'm just tired of people trying to gaslight me, basically. I'm tired of being gaslit. So, anyway, Gianni Infantino did not do himself any favors, in my book at least, because I was a little bit excited about soccer going forward, and I still am. I actually saw someone say, what was it? Oh, they were starting to watch MLS again, or they started to watch MLS because they got into it during the World Cup, and they turned on the game, and someone tried to pass the ball back to their goalie, and they scored an own goal. So there you go. Dwayne says also FIFA charging an arm and both legs to attend. Yeah, I mean, that too. We didn't hear much about the pricing as it went on, but still, there was a lot of criticism. Deserved criticism, okay? Sometimes criticism is deserved. Just take it. All right, here's the comment about from the Mets article on Athletic that I thought was actually pretty smart. By the way, the Pirates won walk-off style over the Diamondbacks. So let me go back to my little MLB standings page and check out the new and updated. I don't know if it's going to be updated just yet. It has not. Oh, yes. So now the Pirates, it says the Pirates are still a game behind, but we'll check it out tomorrow. But so the comment section of this Athletic article, this article was all about how David Stearns, the GM of the Mets, and how Steve Cohen, the owner of the Mets, kind of how they are just making all of the wrong decisions, though. So here's the comment. It says, how ironic. So Cohen and Stearns refused to come up with the $155 million over 5 years to sign iconic fan favorite Pete Alonso, who just suited up for the 104th time in Baltimore's 105 games tonight, ranking in the 90th percentage in defense among all MLB first basemen, while Mr. Soto heads to the DL again because we were told by age 35 Pete would be an old, broken down, woefully defensively deficient has-been. And yet, we could afford $750 million over 15 years for Juan Soto, who can barely defend left field at the level of an A or AA league player and can't stay healthy on the active roster, essentially becoming the Stearns computer-projected future Alonso, except at the age of 29. What a joke. I'd start referring to Cohen and Stearns as Dumb and Dumber, but that would be an insult to Jim Carrey's and Jeff Daniels' acting talents. Is the problem at the top? Yeah, I can't disagree with anything that this person said. And I looked at the other comments. Everybody was very excited about this comment, said they love this comment. And it's, I think the whole thing about that would be an insult to Jim Carrey's and Jeff Daniels' acting talents. That's pretty hilarious. But this fan is 100% right. And Rod said, and he walks all the time when you need a hit. And he's talking about Juan Soto. Like, Juan Soto, statistically, great player, going to be a Hall of Famer, but I cannot believe that anyone gave him $750 million. I am stunned at that. I still am stunned at that. That is just dumb. You should never give a player that much money. Even like that is generationally changing lifestyle money. That wasn't a phrase, but I just made it up. And sometimes you just need to go with what's in front of you. Just because Juan Soto's out there doesn't mean you need to pay him $750 million. And this fan's right. Pete Alonso, I like Pete Alonso because he might be a little bit of a weirdo, but Pete Alonso is 100% trying to win each and every night. Do I think that Juan Soto's not trying to win? No, I think he's trying to win, but do I think he's putting out 100% every single pitch, every single night? No. Do I believe that Pete Alonso is putting 100% into every single pitch, every single night? Absolutely, I do. And those are the players I want on my team. I don't want players that I'm going to pay a bunch to and then hope that they're going to live up to that contract. It's just not something I'm interested in doing. So while we're sitting here in San Diego with a 53-53 team with a shot at the playoffs, New York Mets fans have been out of it for a while. They have been out of it for months now. So I don't get what the Mets are doing. Mets fans are definitely upset. I'm not going to hate that they're not very good because it keeps them out of the Padres' way. But still, it's just one of those things that I think all of us fans knew was going to happen. But for some reason, the guys making the decisions didn't think that was going to happen.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
Two gripes today. One of those gripes is bringing a product on the air that I was not ready to with my Chris First to Fans questions. Now, people think when I say, hey, when I say I'm embarrassed by this, people were like, are you really embarrassed? Yes, I am embarrassed because I tested that thing out. So my daily gripe is being embarrassed about certain things. So today I was embarrassed about two things. My Chris versus the fans question is not working, and then me not remembering that the Padres had the tiebreaker over the Braves in the last segment. So those are very annoying, and those are the mini gripes. The other gripe, like I really want to go see The Odyssey. I'm not a big fan of Matt Damon being casted as the main character, Odysseus. I'm not a big fan of that. But I'll go see it and I'll be fine with it. And it will be a movie. But here's my gripe. All of these like historians that are angry at the historical inaccuracies of this movie. Number one, isn't The Odyssey a fake story anyway? So how are there any historical inaccuracies in a fake story? No, that's number one. Number two, stop taking yourself so serious. I know that there's some guy or gal who dedicated their entire life to The Odyssey. And they're angry because they felt like, they know better. Sometimes movies need to be more entertaining than the actual book. My sister, Katie says, my sister has a degree in classics. Loved it. She teaches this stuff. Good. Dominic said, I get mad at Odyssey inaccuracies. Oh, AUDACY. Ha, I get that. I guess Katie's sister, very serious about this stuff and loved it. And McKee said, yes, it's fiction. It's a poem. Exactly. Thank you for agreeing with this. I mean, I'm not necessarily, as I said, I'm not necessarily a fan of Matt Damon being the main character because all I see from Matt Damon is I see him in The Departed or I see him in some other movie. Yeah. Just be happy, people. Be happy. So, officially, Daily Gripe. All of these historians and classical book experts angry at the historical inaccuracies. Clay says, according to his son-in-law, who is 100% Greek from Greece, informed me that the Greeks are not fans of the film. Well, you know what? They have a little bit more to say about it, I guess. All right. Thank you for everybody listening. Appreciate everyone. Back at it tomorrow. Rockies, Padres. We'll be with you at 2 p.m. Thank you for joining me. Have a great night. Be safe.